How you doing? This is Dr. Paul. Welcome to Bridges Live. This is Mental Health Mondays. Normally we have Dr. Only, Dr. Kelsey, and our mental health professionals here talking about mental health. We are going to move along. I want to apologize. I know I like to have live shows every Monday, and then I have all these panels that I like to do with Black Conversation. We'll be having Black Conversation on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, for all you people to know. Just give you some updates and some news and clean up some, housekeeping. That's the word I'm looking for, is housekeeping news. Just because we want to, in this time, there's so much that we have to do, will do, because this is our time. And I am telling you that if we don't pull together and understand that individually, we are not going to make this run all by ourselves. And I've been doing podcasts, I've been doing lectures, and I give webinars on the information of emotional science and trauma and the treatment of, and the martial sciences also. So this is something I love to do. This is something I'm blessed to be doing. I'm waiting for all these other channels to pop on, so forgive me if I'm looking around. So I want our time to be focused on doing things that's important for the community, because the community is important. The community is where we live as a we, right? Because if we're not living as a we, then most of the time we are just living by ourselves in a community of self. And that is not the place to be. Most of the time when we talking about how are things getting better, are things getting better, will things get better, we ask a lot of questions and we say, well, I do my part. Well, I'm going to ask you, if you're doing your part, are you really doing your part? What is your part? Is it taking place in forums? Is it you, Dr. Paul? Is it you doing your podcast? Is it things that you think you should be doing? Is it any of those things or all those things? We know there's things that we can be working on. And that is what we're doing. So when I do my panels, mentoring panels with black men, mental health panels for women, mental health panels for men, is because with awareness, there's some information. With information, there's got to be some form of question. Question yourself, because the journey, and I just heard this today, that a journey changes because of how I am in the path. That is so true. We all think we're on this journey, and this incredible journey of lifelong something amazing to say. No, it's amazing because life's amazing. In life, there's living, not surviving, not reacting. That's why I do emotional reaction training. And what's emotional reaction training is understanding why you're reacting to an emotion in the process of an action. Why you're reacting to an emotion in the process of an action. So when someone comes around a corner and they scare you, you jump. Okay, you can jump, but do you know why you're jumping? Do you know why you tend to jump? Right. Do you know why you jump at all? Do you know why what creates your jump? And that's where emotional reaction training comes in. Because if you don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it, if you don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it, then what is controlling what? That should be the question. What is controlling what? Now, what if you say, well, Dr. Paul, I know what's being controlled. I know exactly why I jump. I'm scared. I'm scared of snakes. I don't like them. And that's why I jump. Okay. Is that the reason you're going to live by? Or is that something you understanding why you jump? Because it's not the same. So, say you're scared of startleness because you don't like snakes. Okay. You cannot like snakes, because I'm not going to teach you be unafraid of snakes. I am not going to teach you that being afraid of snakes isn't a good idea. That's not what emotional reaction training is. It's to fully engage your complete brain, complete consciousness within self. Complete brain, consciousness within self. Because that's, once you understand that, then you are aligned with what your process is. You can always watch me on Dr. Paul Grandmaster. You can see the YouTube channel. You can see all the things that are out there, the videos I've done, the emotional mind, the rational mind, the whole mind, the channels that we've been putting this on for you to go back. The podcast channel, iHeart, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, you can always watch it on. This is something for you to hold, to write down, and then ask questions. Because if we're not asking each other questions, then we're staying in the same process. Haven't you had an argument or disagreement over your favorite sports team? You haven't? Yeah, I know I have. I mean, it's who's your favorite pitcher, who's your favorite batter, who's your favorite football player. Let's ask this. Who's your favorite running back? Oh my goodness! Some of you people out there, look at this one. Who's the best basketball player that ever was? Right? You can go from here to LeBron to Michael Dyer to Dr. J to all of it, right? But it's the conversation. It's not about changing a mind. It's about hearing someone else's different process and where they got their theories from and how they came to understanding. And some people can say, well, it's the numbers. It's how they played the game. It's who they played with. It's all of it. Life is the same way, and that's living. And that's what I want to talk about. That's when I'm living. And that's what I want to talk about when it comes to Mental Health Mondays. I want to talk about what it is that you're understanding about getting the help you need. Asking for the help you need. How do I know I need help? We've talked about this before about what is the help I'm looking for? Because we have gone through so much traumatic trauma that we're living in. And that we have not come to grips with how angry and the why angry. Now, you don't always have to ask yourself why to get to a good answer. And that is true. So if you see me looking over here, it's because I'm answering people here on my YouTube channel too, which is Dr. Paul Grandmaster. So because this goes streamed live on my YouTube channel, and it also goes back on my iHeart and iTunes channel also. But you can always rewatch this later. So when you have thoughts and questions, and you put it out there to a friend and ask the general question, how. Not so much how should I feel, but ask someone else, how do you feel about this? Because that's what I want to ask you. How do you feel about your mental health? Well, I'm strong. I'm good. I'm rock steady. Nothing bothers me. Yeah, there's some hiccups once in a while. That's not an answer. Because you're being moved, manipulated, and you're not understanding how. You're not understanding how. Well, I live a pretty good life. I got things all worked out. If you're saying these words, then you have not dug into yourself. You have not pulled out the weeds. You're not gardening and being destructive. Destruct yourself. Destruct yourself. So you can construct yourself. Destruct it. Pull it apart. When you pull it apart, it's not Humpty Dumpty. You know, you're not going to put back on the same ears when you pull it apart. I guarantee it. You're not going to put back on the same nose, the same mouth. I'm not saying you're not liking who you are. That's not the same as understanding who you are. So when we talk about mental health, and when we talk about understanding your health, emotional health, spiritual health, physical health. Physical's easy. Break my arm. We're going to be talking recently later on a panel about violence and trauma. Now, do you know what this is? Do you know what that is? Right? We are human. We have human rights. What are human rights? You know, this is the international version. You know, you have the right, no matter where you are. We are all equal above the law. No unfair detainment. You have rights, are protected by the law. Right? It goes on. Right? Over 30. Human rights. Responsibility. A fair and free world. Breaking down these things. So anything that goes against these rights, these human rights, is violence. The freedom to move. If someone stops you from moving, it's violence. The right to privacy. Not what someone thinks your privacy should be, could be, or need to be. Your right to privacy. The right to privacy. Someone goes against that. It's violence. No torture. No slavery. We're all born free and equal. Some of you could be chuckling about that, right? Because we're not born equal. And I'm not sure if we're ever born free. So what is freedom to you? Have you asked yourself those questions? Because those questions are dug into you by someone, if not you. Someone dug something into you, burrowed something deep within inside you, and you not knowing exactly what it is. Why don't you know what it is? Why don't you have an inclination of what's being dug inside of you as far as what is freedom? The right to education. Now, education is something you learn by something you're taught. Education doesn't always mean school. Doesn't have to always mean school. It shouldn't always mean school. These things are not complicated individually. These things happen unexpectedly when there's an undertow. When there's an undercurrent moving without your complete understanding. How do you know it's moving without your complete understanding? When it affects you in a process. When it affects you in a process of thought. Something traumatic can happen to you. Violence can come very fast. But violence can also come very subtly. It's always coming. It's always a pressure. Environment could be a violent act upon you. So you say, well, Dr. Paul, I'll just move. But you're not moving away from violence. You're moving away from the fear of violence. That's not the same. It's nowhere near the same. Because your environment will be what it is. But who are you within the environment is your process of thought. But what if the neighborhood is just a total rag bag? I don't care what, I don't care. Me thinking happy thoughts and a drugged out, burnt out, rag bag tenements over here where all the shootings going on. I don't care how many happy thoughts I'm thinking. That place is a dump. And I don't belong here. But look at how you're thinking about it. You don't belong here, then why are you here? Goes back into maybe a financial reason. So now you start beating up on yourself, right? Maybe you can't afford to get out. Why can't you afford to get out? Maybe because you didn't think you deserve a raise you never got. The education you never thought you can get higher enough. Maybe something. There's a lot of issues why you are unable to have the right to move. What did you do to self that now you are trapped and now you're looking at outside as a negative thought, when actually it's the reflective thought of you thinking about yourself and you trying to run away from the fear you have within. The fear of something you did not do well. We should have done, could have done, would have done, like to do, wasn't able to do what someone said you should have done. All that's important. All that is a thing. It's a process. And not knowing that it's reflective of yourself. Not knowing that certain things are caused by certain actions you created that you've been bearing for such a long time. Deconstruct yourself so you can construct yourself. That's the process. That is the way we move forward. That is the way we develop who we are. But I've been doing pretty good by myself. I've learned to deal with the things I've been dealing with. I'm pretty good. Okay? No one says you wasn't good. Just because you're pulling something apart doesn't mean it was a bad thing. So we are not bad. We are all not broken in damnation or total worthlessness. Just because you're constructing yourself doesn't mean the stuff that you're pulling apart was bad. So why do it? So you understand the fabric of what's been built within you. I drive a car, I don't even know how it's made. I got an idea, but I don't know the intricate of it, but I know how I'm made. I know how I'm emotionally connected. I know how I'm emotionally disconnected. I know how I am within the etheric field. I know how I am with the cosmetic field. I know how I'm connected from here to there, Sam I am, right? All these things is because through meditation, practice, and living sciences, and understanding the cellular biology and the biology of how we feel and how we connected to all things, right? Because all things are made of matter. Violence are often created by something you have allowed. Is if a gunshot, if a person shoots at you, did you create the violence, or was the violence created for you or at you? Okay, let's break it back. How are you recognizing yourself within your awareness of self to allow yourself to be in a situation? Well, a car just drove by and rang out bullets. So that I didn't cause that. My awareness could never have stopped that. Here's the difference between how violence is. Recognizing something is happening, is you being aware, isn't violence. It's just an act of happening. When rain comes, because you hear thunderclouds, doesn't mean it's raining on you. It's raining and you happen to be in rain. It's a different thing. Unexpected rain, you're like, oh shoot, it's raining on me. Those are the words you'll say. Instead of it's raining, you walk out of the house and you won't say it's raining on me, you say it's raining. Just because you're aware of what is happening. When you're aware of something that's happening, it isn't violent. When you're aware of what something is happening and you understand your connection to what is happening and all thing that is happening, it's not violence. But it can create trauma. Just because you're aware of something doesn't mean it won't traumatize you. So violence and trauma, they may go hand in hand, but they're not the same. That's understanding self. That's understanding, that's part of that deconstruction, and when you get to the emotional reaction training. So when you understand what violence is, you understand what trauma is, you understand how trauma starts to break into the cells of the body and starts to create memories, trigger signals, then you can understand how trauma affects you physically, mentally, and spiritually. Once you say, Dr. Paul, that I know exactly where I am at, I know exactly where I need to be, I know exactly where I'm going, you have fallen. You have fallen. Just because you know where you are doesn't mean you know how to. You know what you're doing. So I'm confused, Dr. Paul. I know where I'm going. I know who I am, and I know what I'm doing. How is that falling? Because you're not allowing growth. When you say you are in the know, how can you learn? Well, you know what I mean, man. No, I don't. Don't know what you mean. Because you just said you knew what you were doing. So if you know what you're doing, how would I know what you mean? See the question? Don't box yourself. Because even in the combat arts, my martial arts brothers and sisters out there tell you, you can know a lot of stuff, put yourself in a box, and you're going to get jammed up. Adaptation. Understanding, information, cultivating. That's growing. Always changing the orb is. Vibration signals and frequency rerouting into the body for the mind to deliver. We have a long way to go. And I know this. Emotionally, we have a long way to go. Spiritually, we have a long way to go. But it's the practice. It's the process. It's the feeling you must develop. We have wave patterns that is flowing through our brains. Frequencies and signals and synapses. Cells talking to each other. Understand what's going on in that body. Because the hate, the frustration, the habitual actions, what I'm used to, this is what works for me, those words are stagnant and it creates pain. I know growth is painful. That's why we have people, great professionals out here that can help you on your journey. Your journey. Not theirs, not mine, yours. Your journey. is important to all of us. Well, I wish you good luck. This is Mental Health Mondays. This is a short thing. We'll be back next Monday. Remember, we have a panel this Saturday, women's panel, mental health women, and then we have a mentoring panel also at 1 p.m. You can always catch that later. So I wish you guys the best of luck. God bless. Many prayers, many meditation. Work on yourself, deconstruct, pull it apart, pull it back together, ask yourself the question. And then after you ask yourself the question, go ask to help someone and say, I need help. What do you think of this? Write to me. Love to hear from you. And for all you people listening, and thank you, please share and like. God bless.